Hello, footies, and welcome back to our very first Foot and Review podcast of 2025. I hope you've all had a really good festive period. You've not eaten too much, not drank too much, or if you have, I hope you've had a great time doing so. Today is the first Wemby-less Tuesday Club, but we will Wimble on anyway. I am joined by the man of the moment, Shaq. How are you doing, Shaq?
I'm great. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. And yes, this is going to be a Wimby less podcast over the next maybe couple of months or so. And you know what? It just feels like, well, at least I consider myself a complete another amateur compared to when Dan opens his mouth. It's just like just roses and flowers, whereas I just talk random babble.
That's the way to do it, though. It's quite good to have a bit of random, a bit of unpredictability about it as well. But
That's right.
I don't think anyone has that smooth voice as Dan. But we will do our best to plug that little gap just now. First things first, Shaq. How was your festive period? Did you have a nice break? Did you keep playing? Did you have family time? How did it go?
Oh, it was awesome. I actually did play quite a bit of EAFC along the way. I had time off all the way from the 25th through the 2nd, so I just played quite a lot of FIFA along those every night, and it was good fun. I must say, I was quite engaged with the game. I wasn't ranting or raving. I wasn't trying to get a certain amount of wins. I just enjoyed myself a little bit here and there where I could.
Ideal. No, that sounds the best way to do it. I mean, I've had a 2 week break. Yesterday was my first return. It was quite a productive day back, to be fair, getting 3/4 way through Rivals and all the rush objectives done quite quickly. So can't grumble with that. But it was also quite nice to have a wee break from it. I kept up with the menus, but didn't really get involved in the gameplay at all. So it was quite nice. But plenty to talk about following the sort of year-ending show that John and the crew did before Christmas. So I know they touched a bit on Winter Wildcards then, but we've had a few teams out from them. But the biggest talking point, I guess, Shaq, from Winter Wildcards was the introduction of these 2 playstyle pluses.
Ye- Sorry, go
How
on.
did you see that? How did you see that go? Like, did you think that would be a game changer? Has it been a game changer? Has it not really affected things so much? Like, what's your experience with it since it's launched?
Uh, I expected it to be a game changer. I think some of the playstyle pluses combinations are a bit weird. For example, Kenny Dalglish, as one example, has Ping Pass along with his finesse, which is his regular playstyle plus. And I think I just find it odd that some cards the combinations are really weird, but some cards the combinations are pretty spot on, like that center mid Rolfo. She's got the combination of the long ball pass and the incisive pass. So some of the combinations are really, really unique and cool and very, very meta. But then there's some ones that really don't make sense. Like the Darkleech one, okay, yeah, sure. It makes sense that, yeah, he's got pink pass, which allows his passing. But his passing, if you don't use the pink pass playstyle, it's really bad. So that's the part I don't really agree with. It's some cards are okay, some cards not so okay. You can just feel like EA just half-assed this particular one. It's not really done the way it was intended. It was just like, yep, let's just excite some. It's good for certain, I think, top tier cards. It's definitely good, but on the whole, I don't think it's as yeah. And also, it was very sporadic the way they handed out the 2 playstyle pluses.
Yeah, that was the one thing that came to me. Like, I did think that there would be more of a rhyme or reason to the cards that got 2, or I thought maybe it was a promo with all of them having 2. So it was a bit of a strange one. I mean, I can't say that I've noticed lots of teams that you face like going out and getting these players for 2 playstyle pluses, like because they've got 2 playstyle plus. If that makes sense, I think the good players are still the good players if they've got 1 or 2. If they've just kind of got the basic playstyle.
Exactly. I think one of the things I was noticing at if I don't know if you've done the Avalanche Evolution. I've done the Avalanche Evolution, and I think I did Nico Williams, and who's got 2 playstyle pluses, and it's just one of those things where it feels odd when you expect one playstyle to kick in and it doesn't really kick in, and you're just wondering, is it because I pressed something wrong or the other one's activated at the wrong time? And I don't think it just doesn't feel organic. It does. It just feels like it's like a bolt-on rather than an organic move across from one playstyle to 2 playstyles like he had last year. And it just feels a bit odd. I don't think the game was quite ready for it yet. But again, we will see what Team of the Year and the future holds, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, my tin hat on, if you like, is saying that this is them sort of like testing the waters to see if they can bring these out pre-Team of the Year rather than at Team of the Year where that was like the game breaker type thing. And we'll get onto Team of the Year in a bit because obviously that's kind of going to be the focal point for the next sort of 3 weeks to a month or so. So we can crack onto that. But in terms of winter wildcards, has there been any cards that you've picked up from it to be like, this is incredible, or have you just not bothered, or has your pack luck been as good as others, or less so?
No, I haven't really packed anything off note during Winter Wildcards. I don't think I've really packed anything. I'm just trying to think through. I don't think I really packed anything that was worthy, but I did try quite a few cards because we had the draft objective, which was actually quite a lot of fun. I mean, there's a couple of drafts where I went till the finals and a couple of drafts where I lost literally in the second round, but it didn't really matter because I was trying new cards and I tried a lot of Winter Wild cards. And I think I sent you guys a couple of messages as well that I tried this card, I tried that card, and some of the cards, like especially that R9, the baby version of R9 Winter Wild card. Oh, he was exceptional. Some of the movement that he made in game. I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise for a 4.5, 5 million card, but I think as someone that's used R9 every year, I think this was probably my favorite R9 to use. And that maybe could be the fact that I was using a free R9 in draft and he just felt amazing because I breezed through the final with him. Or it could be the fact that this R9 actually is good. And I did see some reviews online and that said that this particular R9 is really, really good. So that was a really interesting card. I mean, it's a really expensive card, so let's put it that way. But the other card that I really loved using was this Rolfo card that I addressed earlier. Those two playstyle pluses that she's got, the incisive pass as well as the long ball pass, that's a beautiful combination. And she really glides along the pitch. Her passes are impeccable. She does things that you would exactly need in your midfield. And I mean, if you've used the role for card, you know how solid she is, and combine that with those two playstyle pluses. It was epic. I really enjoyed using that card. Apart from that, some of the other cards I use, I think Dark Leash was one that I really liked. But then there's certain times where if you don't use his pink pass, his passing is just so horrendous, and his movement goes from being really nice to really clunky depending on the gameplay, from my perspective at least. So I think he's still cheap. He's still good. His finish shots are amazing, but I just didn't really think he wasn't my kind of player, which is a shame. But he's a Liverpool player, so I'm not that gutted, to be honest. But he was a fun card to try. I think I tried even the Xavi card. That was a really good card as well. Two playstyle pluses. He's got Tiki Taka and Incisive. That was a fun card. I think overall, I think quite a lot of cards were fun cards, but apart from the R9, which is the obvious, no card seemed to be like, oh, this is a must-have in your team.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. There's quite a few nice ones, and obviously, me being a dragon hasn't gone out and bought any of them. Although I've been very tempted for the Haaland card, I have to say, even though he's a City player. I thought that both versions of him look incredible. The centre back, I think.
Sorry to cut you off there,
the
but
centre backs, but
the Haaland card, I tried the centre back card in draft, and he was actually quite good. Just imagine like a really big Virgil van Dijk. Well, Virgil van Dijk is actually big, but Haaland just felt that bit bigger, and you just know he just would stop people. And he was a very fun card, actually, to be honest. And it just felt weird having him in that position, but he was actually really good in centre back.
yeah, I mean, we're seeing less and less of the gold Van Dijk card now. He seems to be phased out. I think the nerf on the corners, that's one thing I've noticed. The amount of headers I get from corners, which are free headers and they just go flying over the bar or whatever, like, I think that's kind of taken away a bit that Van Dijk-esque sort of necessity, because he was almost like a cheat code to start with when those corners were so good. But if you can't direct them, then it makes it a lot harder.
I can tell when someone hasn't played during the Christmas break, because during the Christmas break, it almost like everyone literally was given a free Van Dijk. And every game I played, I've literally faced Van Dijk, and he was still good during the Christmas break. I think since over the past 3 or 4 days, people have just moved on to other centre backs. But during that break, because Konate was being upgraded, and a lot of people were trying to fit Konate in, and Van Dijk was literally every game of champs seemed to have a Van Dijk in there, and he was still killing it. I think Saliba is definitely done and dusted. The gold Saliba is definitely done and dusted. He's not being used anymore, but the Van Dijk is still surviving somehow or the other.
Yeah, well, I've like I say, I've seen them kind of phasing out a bit, but it'd be interesting to see some of these Evos, which we'll come on and talk about as well. But some of these new Evos might have sort of revitalized certain other cards. Going from winter wildcards, then we've got the current promo just now. We've got Numero FUT. We were talking before this kind of release, going, team looks a bit meh. It's kind of they're trying to kind of lull you in before Team of the Year comes, but on actual release, there are still like a few tasty cards in this, Shaq.
There are some really decent cards in here. I think some of the cards are decent, but I'm just really finding the pack weight to be so ad hoc that the chances of packing these cards are almost impossible. But they're not that expensive on the market, so they're certainly worth a try. Some of them are certainly worth a try.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the standout's Rafael, who
Oh
if you
yeah.
get him, then he'll be phenomenal. But I mean, I would just sell him straight away if I had him tradable. Lewis Dunk is one that quite intrigues me because he's 33 foot tall, a big monster. But he's only 120 odd K, so he looks good. James Rodriguez, I don't know whether you saw the irony. He got his first promo cards in a while, and then he got released from his club, so he's actually without a club now. But I mean, he looks pretty decent, to be fair. And then, the one for our trio in the former Tuesday club, Camavinga. I mean, what a card that looks like, even with the one play style plus. But if you had him, you'd be laughing, I think, because that looks a really tasty card.
I think one of the things that evolutions have done is in, in a good way. I think in a good way from a consumer point of view, from a player point of view, is some of these cards don't really. It doesn't make you feel like, oh, I need to go and try the Camavinga card out because you can easily evo a gold Camavinga to make him close enough to that particular card. Not exactly like that card, but close enough. So just really, for example, I think there's another evolution today or yesterday that came out the way you could Evo Xiaomeni, and a lot of people are talking. So it's just, I think, I know Camavinga was a very popular Evo during the Winter Wildcard season. So I think seeing this card here is, yeah, he's got really good play styles. I think he's got 5-star skills, if I'm not mistaken, which is a weird
Yeah,
combination to
5 star,
have.
4 star, yeah.
Yeah, 5-star skills on a CDM is a bit weird, but also he's a left back. I think he can play left back as well, which is a good thing. Definitely a good card, but I think a million coins for a Camavinga that I can Evo that's close enough for quite cheaper than that. That's the. I don't know how I feel about that because normally we would be salivating about this Camavinga card, but just knowing the fact that you can get a bargain basement Camavinga from Evos, kind of, yeah, I don't have the same desire to go out and try this particular card.
I think what EA have done quite cleverly with this one is they've boosted the shooting quite a lot. So I think from the evos that you get with Camavinga, especially, and say Tchouaméni, is that they keep the shooting still really low. But if you play him
Mm.
as a say an actual centre mid, then it kind of boosts that, so he's a bit more of a goal threat. So I think actually EA have been quite clever because they've given you very good evos where you can have certain players that you like in certain roles, but the actual cards do bring that little bit more. I think, like I say, with the shooting, you could actually have him almost as a box to box with those type of stats and stuff like that. So I think they have been pretty smart. One other thing to talk about Numero FUT. I've kind of called this segment New Year Same Old EA. There has been another quite a big mistake which they left up for quite a number of hours. Which, to be fair, I don't know how people managed to do all those objectives that quickly, which is crazy. But on was it Friday night they released an objective where you can get a winter wildcards guarantee, and it seems like 99% of them was the striker Haaland. Shaq, what do you think's going on?
So what happened there was it was literally, I think all of us had the, like, for example, I opened the pack a couple of days before the glitch happened because we were able to complete the season. I think it was a weekly milestone. I can't really remember the objective, but every week you completed a series of objectives, which is I think 10 rival games and 10 squad battle or rush games, and that gives you an opportunity for that promo cards from pack. And we last week's objective reward was to get one winter wildcard player, which I think predominantly was opened during the week. I think there's quite a lot of people that for whatever reason didn't claim that pack, and they opened it after the week was done. And yeah, that particular pack seemed to have Haaland over and over and over again. I couldn't believe my eyes when the number of Haalands that were being popped up on stream. But yeah, it was a big glitch. It was a huge glitch. I feel in these situations, certainly feel bad for the people that back to Haaland fair and square during the promo, and suddenly it just doesn't feel as good.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to say about that is when you look at the price of Haaland, he hasn't dropped that much, so it makes me feel like it's a small sample size. I think it's a lot on social, but in sort of the wider terms, I don't think it was as widely packed as we think. But it's still very frustrating when that's a player that most people would love to have in their side, especially if you play like a one striker formation. He would be an absolute tremendous lead in the line.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think for this week's objective, I think the recommendation is to hold on to that pack and open it after this team leaves packs, and then you can probably pack a Raphael Leao. That'll be perfect.
That would be tremendous. I mean, the one thing to say on that though is I am hoping that it's not setting the precedent for another year of mistakes, because this is probably a record for, brand new year, and within 2 days there's this type of mistake. So let's hope it's not a sign of things to come. But you never know.
But I don't know how I'm trying to be fair to EA, but to be fair to EA, compared to last year, for example, the number of, I mean, there are errors, but the number of errors that are happening on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis have reduced.
Yeah,
So there is some, yeah.
I think they come in clusters, don't they? They seem to happen, 2 or 3 within a week or so. And then it calms down, so it makes it feel like there's a lot all at once. But hopefully they can kind of stay on top, and maybe they've got a new quality assurance manager or something like that to kind of test these things before go. You never know. Shaq, before we go on to the market watch, just so we chat about Evos, because there has been a lot of Evos, like a lot of Evos. I was raging because I went to go in and start at the sort of attacking Evo with Nico on your recommendation yesterday. Turned out that I'd missed it. It expired. I think that one was 250k, which in my Dragon head is actually wonderful. It saved me 250k. But I mean, how do you think they're doing with Evos? Has there been any sort of amazing ones that took your eye? Has there been, what's your overall thoughts on them now we've kind of had a bit of time to bed in with this new ones?
From my particular perspective, I think those Evos came at a time when the club that we support was not doing the best. So I wanted to be as far away from a Man United player as I possibly could. And I think that's why my enjoyment of that particular week wasn't as much as it should have been. Having said that, I still did some Evos. I Evoed Inaki Williams, Nico Williams, who is, I want to dislike him. I really want to dislike him because it just feels weird to have a gold card that plays that good. He does play really well at striker. I tried him. I mean, the reason I evoed him was the fact that he had the role plus as the inside forward on LM, which is the same thing that Vinicius has. And I started using him there, and he was very ineffective for me on the wing. But as a striker, he's got the size, he's got the heft, he's got the strength, he's got the press proven. Oh, he's just doing bits for me. He's playing really, really well for me, and I'm really enjoying him at the striker. I keep getting better. I keep getting shinier strikers, and I keep putting them in, and then realizing, oh, this Nico Williams, damn it, I spent 250k. He's actually good, and overall, I think the Evos were pretty good. I think there was a lot of variety of Evos. The only thing that I didn't, the fact that this Flash Evos literally came and went before you could do anything because there were so many Evos coming all at once. And I think a lot of people like you, a lot of people have missed out on a few Evos here and there. I think I missed out on a few chains as well because I just didn't complete one chain. And one of the things, Nate, you would probably understand this as well, because I don't really understand why we're not able to Evo maybe 2 Evos at a time. I don't understand why when they're releasing the number of Evos, especially if it's a paid Evo, at least if you can pay for an Evo and evolve multiple at a time, I'm okay with that.
I'm guessing it's more just a coding issue, to be honest, because there's no reason why they can't. Because if the Evos are in store, then it's either coding or they're trying to drive up like engagement. Maybe they think that's a way to keep people playing the game, as if you can only do one at a time, but there's 2 players you want to Evo. I think it probably comes down to one of the two. The game can't handle, the change of stats and the Evo sort of process, or they think that actually by adding another 10 games in, their sort of figures will go up for engagement.
I think it's the latter, because last year there was a glitch where you could actually Evo 2 players in game for a short period of time. So it's definitely technically possible, but I think they've gate kept that. And I think you're right. I think the engagement factor is what's actually driving up this whole process of Evoing just one player at a time, which is, I think it's silly. I just think if you're releasing the number of Evos you're releasing, most of these Evos that are really, really good, well, there are some good free ones, but most of the expensive ones are like 250k for attacking Avalanche, which is it's a fair, hefty chunk of coins. But might as well, if I'm paying for the Evo, just give me the opportunity to Evo multiple.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely with you on that. I mean, we have seen, even through the objectives, we've seen this sort of movement from EA to kind of keep it engaged. So, something like the weekly objectives where it's is it not score one goal in 10 different matches in champs or
Yeah.
rivals and then in squad battles or rush. So they never used to do that. It used to be score 20 goals, score this, play 5 games, whatever. So I think that they have kind of taken that sort of conscious effort to try and keep people playing. So I'm not fully against it because it's things that I would have been doing anyway. I would have played Rush anyway. I would have done squad battle. Well, sorry, I've not had time for squad battles, but I would have done rivals anyway. So it doesn't really put me out my way too much. But I could see some people getting a bit miffed that it's not a bit easier. But it also means that the season pass is kind of dragged out a bit longer, which is okay because for the last few weeks of it, you feel like there's no reason to play apart from getting your wins in.
I've got two opinions on that. Number one, going back to your objectives, one of the things I've noticed is that with the rush objective, for the past couple of weeks, we had the score one goal in each game. And in the past couple of weeks, every time a player within your team scores, it counted as a goal for you, as in for the objective. Whereas this particular week, it's almost like you have to score. And if you're using the rush mode where there's only defenders and CDMs, you're trying to play with the center back or whatever most games to meet the rush requirements, and it's so hard to bloody score. You want to defend as much as you can, and I've played quite a lot of rush games, and I think I've scored 3 goals in all those rush games that I've played. So I need to go back and try and play with attacking center midfielder or CDM that actually has some finishing stats like a Valverde or someone. And yeah, let's see if I can do that.
The good thing about Rush I've noticed though, especially yesterday, was I don't think I had a single game where anybody was AFK. I think everyone seems to be playing a bit more, and to be honest, it shows you Rush is a good game when people want to play. Like it actually is. Like we said that right from the beginning. If people took the game, like I'm not saying take it seriously in terms of sit up and play really hard and sweat, but if people just participated, it's actually a really fun mode. If you got guys that aren't just either forgetting where the pass button is or just putting the controller down. So I think that's it's clearly been a good move from EA to either kick players early or to get them engaged.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. I think it's good in one way where there's no AFKs, but then that doesn't really stop you from matching up with players that use center backs. Like I was playing with a guy yesterday who was using Vidic, and he kept trying to do skill moves up the pitch and kept losing the ball. He didn't learn. He kept doing the same thing over and over again, and just there's no way to communicate with them to say, please stop doing that.
Yeah, I would love a free text sort of bubble in your sort of
Yeah.
options, but then I would probably get banned quite a lot, I think, for what I would say to them. Just while we were, going back, circling back around to Evos, the one thing that I am liking, I sent you a screenshot yesterday. The Showdown Ugarte has actually a very good Evo, apart from he seems to get a chip shot from the chain, which is weird, but you can put him into the octopus and a number of other ones, and actually he looks a very solid sort of CDM. And it also, the way that he's playing, United have been terrible, but he's been one of the bright sparks.
Yep.
He clattered a few boys from Liverpool, which was tremendous. So I think he's one that I might look to do just because it gives me a bit of grit and besides sort of either Kobe or Casemiro. Shaq, seeing as we have the Discord's market expert, market guru,
Oof,
just
oof.
just wanted to pick your brains a little bit. Obviously, we've had a fairly decent promo in Winter Wildcards. We've had potentially sort of a step down for Numero FUT, and we're now started the voting process for Team of the Year. So, what's the current state of the market, and where do you expect it to go over the next few weeks?
I think people have been prepared from, I think, Winter Wildcards. Ever since Winter Wildcards were wrapping up, you could see the market was a bit unsure as to what was going to happen. I think some of the low tier cards, I think the cards with the range between, say, 50K to 200K, they are doing really well. They keep going up a little bit, tiny little increments every single day. That particular market, but the top tier market is going down every single day with a small amount of percentage. Every single day is just going downwards. And I think one of the things that anyone, dragons included, if you have a huge chunk of coins, you're eyeing a particular player. I think from now till probably a couple of days after the attackers are in packs is when you should be pulling the trigger on a card for your team, because I think there will be a point where these cards they're already quite cheap. I think some of the drops we've seen in the past 2 3 days with some of the top tier cards is incredible. Like I think Mbappe is finally under 1.5 million. There's a whole heap of cards that are dropping downwards, and I think As soon as the attack is coming back, there's going to be a really startling observation that we can make is to understand whether the back weight is high or low. If the back weight is high, you can expect these cards to go down a little bit more. If the pack weight is low, the cards will slowly start to go up. But still, people will hope that there'll be more cards in packs when all the teams are in the full team is released. So I would suggest from the time the attackers are released till the time the full team is released, that is your perfect buy window. So the market right now will still be floating along quite nicely till then. It won't really die down, neither will it rocket up. But after the full team is in packs, and if the pack weight is like last year, I can see all these cards going up at least a good 10 to 20%.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, we do sometimes see that, isn't it? When, especially with the like you say, with the Doom switch on for the back weight. And to be fair, there's not really been a lot this year that convinces me they're going to open those floodgates and let a few more of those sort of out. I think it's going to be quite, they're going to gatekeep those cards, and rightly so, in my opinion. To be fair, at this stage, you don't want all these totally cracked ones, but a few extra here or there would be very nice. I'd love to see the pack pulls on our wonderful discard popping off with, at least guys that we know and we like having these very, very good top tier cards. So we can but hope. But that takes us on very nicely, Shaq, to the next subject that we were wanting to talk, and it's probably going to be a bit more in depth than what we've done for the rest of the pod so far. Team of the Year month. So last night they opened the voting. We'll not go through them all because it's easy to find, but there's some very special cards looking like they could potentially come through for both the men's and the women's game. So first things first, what do you think of the nominees? Is there anyone that's been blatantly missed? Is there anyone included that you're a bit like, oh, not sure if they are the actual best?
To be perfectly honest with you, I didn't pay too much attention to the nominees as it just came out overnight, and I haven't really had much time to look into the nominees this time around. But one of the things that I'm really it's going to be a weird team of the year because I don't really see how there's going to be a Messi or a Ronaldo team of the year card in there. And that, I don't know how I feel about that. I just feel like it's an end of an era, but also I feel like there might be a way that EA actually tries to shoehorn them in somehow. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would be absolutely flabbergasted if both Messi and Ronaldo don't get an honourable mentions. They're not in the actual lineups as far as I could see. Oh no, Ronaldo and Messi are both nominated. Sorry. So,
Yep.
but I think when you've got the actual meta and the people that are voting on this, it's basically going to be Vinny, Mbappe, and one other. Um,
Yeah.
On current form, even though I'm a United fan, Salah has to be. Salah's had an incredible year, so I think realistically he should be. But then there are other players that there's Lamine
Kane.
Yamal, there's Harry Kane. Although to be fair, I'm not his biggest fan. Even like Gokeres, incredible numbers. So you've got that type of player in there. So there are some good players. There's some random ones in there as well. I'm not quite sure they deserve an even look in. But I don't see how anyone that's not Mbappe, Vinny, and one other gets it.
I
And
mean, look, some of these nominees there could be something said about every single one of them. For example, like a card like Lautaro Martinez. He's had an incredible last season. He's won the Serie A. He's actually gone ahead and won the Copa America. He's scored a lot of goals, a bucket load of goals. So there's an option there. I think you mentioned Gyökeres. Gyökeres, yes, he scored a lot of goals, but inconsequential goals. And that can we say the same thing? Or Vinny, not really, because he actually won the Champions League. I had to check myself there, but he did win the Champions League.
yeah,
So it's going to be a tricky one, but I think Salah is a good shot. I think Kane is one that scored a bucket load of goals, but the problem with Kane was the fact that those bucket load of goals equated to absolutely nothing. So it's going to be a really tricky front three, I think, this time around.
yeah, especially with Kane going missing in those big matches in the World Cup, in the Euros as well, which was a pain. But
Correct.
yeah, I mean, you look through the midfielders. I mean, you'd have to think Rodri would be a dead cert for one because he's
Dead
he's
set.
been unreal and he's good in the game, so that kind of ticks both sides. Yeah. Um, After
Jude.
that, though, like Jude, yeah, Jude probably should be in there. I mean, they've got Nico Williams as a midfielder. I mean, I would love to see him get a card, but I don't think he probably would. Apart from that, I
You
mean,
know
they've
what?
got
It could be. I'm looking at the nominees here, and maybe Palmer sits as Palmer. It could be Palmer between Palmer and Nico Williams.
Could be. I mean, Rice as well. I mean, he's not won anything, but he's had an incredible season. Xavi Simons. So there's some nice ones. It's not quite as dead set as the midfielders, as the strikers. Sorry, defenders. You're probably going to get Van Dijk will be in there. You'd imagine Theo Hernandez will be in there. There'll be
Saliba.
Saliba. So yeah, you've probably 3 from 4 are pretty much already certain. And it'll probably be Emi Martinez, you'd imagine, for the goalkeeper spot, because it's not
Goalkeeper.
really anyone else been like that, with Courtois being injured and such like.
You know what? I think with Van Dijk, I think it's not a dead set that Van Dijk will actually be in there, because if you think about it on the balance of things, someone like Rudiger, who's won the Champions League, might just be a better shout than a Van Dijk, who's not really won much last year.
I mean, I don't think Van Dijk's been the best centre back going since his injury, but I also know how a lot of the FC and FIFA public kind of think and vote, and I'd imagine if you're voting for this to get a card in Team of the Year, you're going to want Van Dijk over probably, like a fully souped up Van Dijk in terms of the game is the most meta centre back. So
Yeah,
although I'd love a Rudiger, I'd love somebody else. I don't think I could see anyone else doing it. And a quick look to the ladies. I mean, I can't say I know totally, the forms of a lot of these. So, Man City have obviously won a lot. Diani, I can imagine the players like Diani. I had that Shula card last year. He was tremendous in Team of the Season. Love to see her get a card again if it's packable. Everyone likes the Padjor, the SBC. And Sophia Smith as well is obviously just always elite on this game.
definitely. With the women's cards, I think it's quite clear from purely a meta point of view. There's like some cards like Diani, as you mentioned. There's even like cards like Hansen. We want Hansen, Sophia Smith, and I think even Selma Paralluelo to actually, yeah,
Say
to
that
actually
again.
be
Say that again.
Selma Paralluelo.
Well played.
to be part of the team, and she's got a really sick evolution right now as well. The same evolution that I evoed Nico Williams. There's a Selma Parallelo that you can evo, and she's incredible in game with a finesse shot plus play style as well. Anyway, going back to team of the year, there's a whole heap of cards in the attacking space. In the midfield space, it gets a little bit trickier because all I want is Bon Marty and Patry and
And
Putellas. That's it.
Mateus probably. Yeah, I was going to say you could probably guess that. I mean, Gioro may be in with a shout just for how well she plays
Yeah.
in game. I know from the people that I've spoken to around the game, they don't really know much about in like real form for the teams that aren't the top teams, and they know them about on FIFA. So it'd be interesting to see if they vote for them for that. And then if we just touch on the defenders, because I don't want to do them a disservice. Renard, I love Renard in this game. Same with Batcha. I know you're a big Batcha fan.
Oh yeah.
Wubben Moy, I still have PTSD from the team of the season she got, and she popped
Yeah.
out all the time.
All
So
the time.
Paredes always gets a decent card. You'd imagine she could be in there. Just trying to look else. There's not really Olga Carmona from Real Madrid's usually a decent player. And then the goalkeepers, there's only 5 goalkeepers to choose from, and I have absolutely no idea who'd be a good one or not. What's your team of the year plan? Because I think that yours and mine is going to be very, very different. So, how are you approaching, the lead into team of the year, and then obviously team of the year itself?
This time, my plan is actually to try and accumulate all my coins together and keep it ready to buy one player attacker that I can actually buy when they release and they look cheap, and just use them for a while. That's the aim. Whether I actually go through with it, because it's just you just get stuck in the hype of trying to wonder whether it's the lowest price or whether you keep those coins to do something else with. I don't really know, but that's what I'm planning to do this year, is to buy one attacker that I can use. Maybe like even as an example, Sophia Smith last year, I should have bought her. I really should have bought her when I wanted to, and just didn't.
She was amazing. She lasted me right through till team of the season. So if you get the right card, the longevity is definitely there. How many coins are you sitting on in preparation just now?
Liquid, I think less than 1 million, but I think if I put everything together and sold everything or whatever I had, I think I should be ending up with close to maybe 3.5, 4 million, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, roughly around there should be.
That's a very
Yeah.
good sort of nest egg to have ready for team of the year. Pack wise, what are you doing?
Pack wise, okay. So what I did was, I think yesterday I just thought to myself, I just went back to last year. Last year around this time, EA released 83 plus 83 times 10 SBC on a day-to-day basis. So you can accumulate that. I think it was even the 84 by 5 SBC that you could just accumulate because they knew that people are holding on to packs. And Team of the Week started to spike. So I just went ahead yesterday and bought a whole heap of Team of the Weeks, which means I can't open any packs. So as of yesterday, I'm unassigned with Team of the Weeks, and which means I don't really have any packs that I can open till all my Team of the Week sell. So that's where I'm at.
That's a clever thing. Only thing with that though is with if they do start bringing out sort of regular 83s and 84 by 10s or 5s, how are you going to get the fodder then? Are you just going to buy the fodder as needed, or are you going to leave them alone? Like, how are you going to do that?
I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep buying as much as I need on a day-to-day basis, and I'll just use all the club supply. I think I have a good maybe 30 to 40 team of the weeks in the club already, the untradeable that I could use towards these SBCs. So I tend to use that, and I'll just keep buying 83s, 84s along the way to try and supplement that. I'll just keep a stash of 500k just to do these packs if needed. And look, at the end of the day, I think I wasn't planning to save packs, but it's so the Numero FUT promo seems to be very dead for me. The pack weight's low. There is no incentive to open. If Winter Wild cards are still going on right now, I would open every single pack because those are the cards that I actually really wanted.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, just slightly differently from you. I know you're now saving some of it indirectly, and I know Dan is basically ripping everything as soon as he gets it because he's like a kid at Christmas, isn't he? But I am saving basically everything that has a guaranteed value or guaranteed sort of rate, and so probably anything over 80 plus, I'll save. Apart from when you get those sort of season rewards, rare players or whatever, rare player packs that have no ratings, but they're all rare, so there's probably a better chance of getting something from them. So all these mixed packs and premium gold packs and stuff are just ripping, so I can either put them into the player picks or I can still do marquee matchups, etc. But I think I am saving everything that looks like it's got at least a chance of a bigger player. Coin wise, I'm sitting on, I think it's about 4.2 million just now.
Oof.
I've got a few team of the weeks, but that's pretty much everything sold up. I've not really invested now for, I don't know, must be sitting on that for about a month or so, haven't I? So I don't really plan on buying any players to try out. I'm just going to hold and see for team of the year. My game time will be severely limited after April anyway, so there's a good chance that I might just, probably put maybe 70% of my coins into one player, and that'll see me through until the end of my game cycle. I'm not saying it's the end of the FIFA cycle, but if I play, it'll be for like an hour here, an hour there. So I think I may as well just use that and enjoy the final sort of 2 months that I'll get on the game with these players. There's lots of things around, and you can imagine with Team of the Year coming up, there's going to be a lot of objectives coming with decent pack rewards as well. So I'm also opening the player picks from objectives and rivals because at least it gives me a way of supplementing, and some of these promos will still have decent players in, so there's a nice chance to still have these players. Half of me thinks I should save everything, but then I'll not be able to buy. You won't even be able to buy fodder if you've got too many unassigned and such. So I think that's probably a good way of doing it. And there's not really any SBCs out. I've done the 2 icon ones that came out, but there's not been a dearth of SBCs that have been must do. I think we're both swithering between doing Neto or not. Half of the time I'm like, yes, I do. Next moment I'm like, maybe not. So I think it's a good way. You have to buy a lottery ticket to win it. And, we've had people like John who has not saved anything, open like a random single gold pack and pack team of the year Cristiano Ronaldo and such. So I think when you looks in, you looks in. But in my head, if I don't give myself a good chance, and to be honest, I'm one of these guys. I love a massive pack opening as well. So I'll probably, unless the pack weight looks really high straight away, I'll end up waiting until probably the Tuesday to start opening, so you can recycle them into player picks and whatever. It depends what SBCs come out at the same time, but I get really excited at this time of the year. I think this is a great time, and if you are a pack hoarder like myself, then this is a perfect time to go. And after Christmas, pack savings on for me. And I think, let's try and hit one of those big baddies. But realistically, we'll either hit nothing or we'll hit the goalkeeper from, the the goalkeeper for the female league, which probably is the least usable team of the year card that we'll get out of all of them, I'd imagine.
I think one of the things I would say to all brothers and sisters who are holding on to packs right now, trying to save packs, don't do the same thing you did last year in the sense, don't hold on till everything's in packs. I am just ripping everything on the first day of attackers. I don't care. Whatever I have saved, it's going to be opened right there and there because I think the pack weight seem to have been really good during the attackers, and after that it just dwindled. So my focus would be to open as soon as they hit, as soon as there's something worth packing from the store. I'm just going to rip open my packs. I'm not going to hold on till everyone holds on to those packs in the hope that you'll pack something. You will generate packs as you go along, so just open them up. That's what I'm going to do anyway.
Would you not be tempted to wait and look around and see through Discord and socials, or you just, is that in your head, that's what you're doing?
That's it, attacking. As soon as, because I don't want to go through the same disappointment that I had last year, just holding on for the whole Team of the Year promo. You're just waiting for that one day when everything's in packs, and it just results in this absolute nothingness. And I don't really want that feeling again. So
that makes absolute sense. So it's an exciting time, though. This is probably one of my favorite times of the game cycle.
Is it though? The build up. I think a lot of people have articulated about Team of the Year being their favorite promo, blah blah blah, and I'm really in the complete opposite camp. It's one of those promos where if you pack something, it feels amazing for a few moments. It feels amazing for that particular year. You feel like, yeah, I'll pack the Team of the Year this year. But if you end up with nothing, and the amount of grind that we do to try and pack something is enormous. And at the end of I think for the past 2-3 years, I've just grinded and not ended up with a single Team of the Year. So I'm just like, I keep telling myself every year that there's no point. So this year, I'm just going to go nonchalant. That's why I'm opening packs. Whenever I feel like I'm not going to hold on till a particular time. As soon as they're in packs, I'm just going to start ripping them open. And if I get something, I get something. If I don't get something, that's fine. Because otherwise, as a promo itself, it's a very lackluster promo. You have a whole heap of cards. It's like having, it's like having Rafael Leao, for example. It's like having a whole every single card in packs is that sort of drop weight where you can barely see them, but yet we expect to see them, which is weird. It happens every year.
Yeah, but we've been conditioned now that pretty much every promo is like that, so the disappointment's less. But no, I like the whole sort of setup. I like the excitement of opening packs. And to be fair, there are usually some very good SBCs. I think last year we had the flashback Bruno Fernandes. I'm sure, was it not?
Yes, we did.
And he was a very, very good character. There's usually quite a few decent either icon SBCs or icon roulettes where they actually up the minimum rating, or it's a peck. And
True.
I'm sure the year before that we had, I'm sure it was like Eto or something like that we had at the same time. Like, there's usually decent things to come alongside it. So it's not just the players that are in packs, but it's what you can then recycle your packs into is usually fairly like captivating, I would say. And it gives you plenty to do and plenty of menus to grind as well. So it does seem to hit everything. And to be fair, like, I'm not blowing it, not bragging, but the last couple of years I've managed to have a Team of the Year as well. So it definitely makes the promo a bit better when you've had one. You think, oh, I could get one again.
Yeah, that really leaves a really good taste in your mouth, and I completely get that. I think that it's really good to have both our perspectives as well, because there's quite a few people that have packed, I think, every other year or every year, and that just gives you that hope of seeing a blue, and it's a special sort of time of the year. Whereas for people like me that are sitting on the grinchy side of Team of the Year, where we haven't seen a blue for a while, it's like, oh, can this promo just come and go and no one pack anything? So
yeah,
I don't have to feel any FOMO.
The last year was an eye opener though, because I did expect the drop weight to be a bit better, having twice the amount in when you had the men's and the women's team, and it kind of just stayed the same. So that was the disappointment. But we've got plenty of things to come, and I'm sure as the votes go in, as time goes on, we'll get more of a feeling about what potential players are going to get in the team. But also they may do SBCs. Like I say, I would not be surprised if there's not. I would be surprised if there wasn't either honourable mentions for Messi and Ronaldo, or potential SBCs for them, like flashback SBCs or something. I think both of these may be involved in some way. Maybe it might not even be a flashback, because I think they've done flashback ones, but it may be like moments SBCs. So I think that EA are very clever, and we've done quite well today not to dig out EA on many things, and this isn't a dig. They're very clever at knowing how to sell packs and get people to either open packs or invest either time or money. So I think this is a surefire way for them to actually do something engaging, whether it's engaging with your own purse or with your time. But I would absolutely almost guarantee it that these two are going to be involved in along the way. Because remember, Neymar had a terrible season. Wasn't
Yeah.
like I don't even think he was nominated. I don't think, and they still got him involved in honorable mentions just because Neymar at that point was meta and sold everything. So we'll move on for that with the last two segments. Shaq, player in review. I'm not quite done with that, but have you got a player that that over? We've probably got about 3 or 4 weeks since we've last recorded, so there's a fair space of time. So have you got anybody there that you wish to review?
I think I've already briefly reviewed Rolfo, which I spoke about her Winter Wildcards card being quite impeccable with the playstyle pluses. But I think one of the cards you just mentioned earlier was the Neto card, the Pedro Neto card. And I've actually gone ahead and finished the SPC yesterday and used him about 5, 6 games. Sorry, I didn't message you about this, but he's actually pretty good. He is, I wouldn't say he's like a must have or he's a must do, but he's got the uniqueness of having the inside forward plus plus and a left-footed 5-star weak foot finesse shot. His finesse shots are very, very, very nice. They go in really. Has Salah scored against you in the game?
Not for a long time. I don't really see Salah
Okay.
very often, to be honest.
I still there's certain points in the game where you see Salah at the top left hand corner of the box, and you know he's going to actually score a finesse, and it actually goes in, and the keeper can see it, you can see it, and the ball just goes in. Neto somehow has that same sort of capability, and I'm enjoying his finesse shots. It's a really fun card. I'm really enjoying using the card. He's got lots of versatility as well because he can play as a striker, he can play as a right winger, left winger. So it's a good fun card. It's definitely cheap enough to do as well.
Yeah, he is definitely one, but I'd be trying to use him on the right side because I've got Saka on the left hand side, and Saka, to be fair, is still very, very good. One thing though for the Neto card, I don't know whether you've picked up on this, Shaq. I know this is your review. Have you seen his body type? Have you looked into that?
So Footbin says that his body type is a Ronaldinho body type, which I don't agree with. It's not a Ronaldinho body type by any stretch of the imagination, but I think foot.gg says that it's a Pedro Neto, so it's a unique body type. And I think we had the same issue happen last year as well. I don't know if you remember, but there was a really popular Pedro Neto evolution last year and had the same issue. Everyone wanted to do him, and I think he was extinct for a long period of time. And the same sort of issue happened there as well. So yeah, so he's got a quite a different, unique body type as well.
That's good, and it's probably quite a good one to be aware of if you're sitting on the fence to do it, because he won't feel like anyone else then if he's got his own unique body type. My one is actually coming from Winter Wildcards. I can't remember if I had them last time we recorded, but I've used Carrasco as my left
Ooh.
mid quite a lot because I think he's a left mid inside forward plus. He's tremendous for 50k. I'm not saying he's tremendous. He's on Vinny's level, who I've got, but it doesn't work because I've got the base one, so he doesn't have any role pluses for left mid. But he is tremendous. That sort of technical dribbling is unreal. He's got 90 odd pace. His finishing's absolutely cracked, especially being right footed playing on the left. Those near post finishes are just stupid. His dribbling's excellent. His passing's decent. I just wanted a different option. And because I've got a few icons in the team, he kind of fits in on two chem usually. But for 50k, if you want a fun player that's totally not meta and out of the ordinary, like he's really good fun to try. So he's worth it for a wee cheap beast. I would definitely say pound for pound, he's one of the better pound for pound players you get.
Awesome, awesome. I did try him in draft, and he was pretty good, really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. He just misses that those. He's 4-star, 4-star. So either a weak foot or skill move upgrade would have been tremendous. Lastly, today, Shaq, on our sort of, we call it a double pod because we had to have that break in the middle. Formation in review. Is there a formation that you're using that you've tried, that you've cemented now? Like, what are you doing?
So I've tried a whole heap over the Christmas break. I told myself to get out of my comfort zone and try something different because I've been doing 4-4-2 for such a long time that I tried. I think the 4-2-1-3 is probably the most popular formation going on right now, and it's effective. It's very, very effective, but it's boring for me. I found it boring as bad expletive. It just was. It's good. It works. It really works. I think our friends at the Not Nothing But a Foot Thing podcast, I think Bridges FC's got a really good 4-2-1-3 as well that works. I think Adam A from our Discord has got a really good 4-2-1-3 that works really well as well, and that's more attacking and really good for friendlies. But I just, it's a very one-dimensional sort of play where you're just waiting for the wingers to be free, and you give a through ball, and it's a goal
Yeah.
every single time. Just get rinse and repeat, and it works. It's so effective because you have so many people behind the ball as well. It's fun, it's effective, and I think in weekend league I tried to go different ways and went back to 4-2-1-3, and I did really well. So um, that's the formations I tried. I tried the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. I really enjoyed that formation. Really good fun, but it can be ripped apart by the 4-2-1-3 and from time to time. But right now, the formation I just found yesterday is a 4-4-1-1. It's a slight difference to the 4-4-2 that I've been playing all year, that I always play. It's a slight variation where the cam does a bit of like it does a bit of bamboozling from the midfield as such. So you have three midfielders as such that can rotate, and if you have one holding and two players that are on free roaming as such, as the cam and the center, the CM, it offers a whole lot of space in the midfield. So you can play like a 4-2-3-1 without it being without it being 4-2-3-1 and static. So I'm really enjoying the 4-4-1-1 that I just stumbled upon. I think just scrolling through X, I just stumbled upon this particular one that fit in with what I was thinking to do, and it's working wonders. It's really it's nice, slow, pleasurable sort of formation.
Oh, perfect. No, that sounds good. It's not one that I've used. I know Ingvi used to love the 4-4-1-1, which was quite cool as well. I think he was a bit of a that was his sort of gospel, if you like, of the old FIFA. So that's cool. My one's a 4-5-1, but
Oof.
not in a positive way. I've seen lots of people like love it. I have tried to make my own one, and it's not working now. Basically, my one striker is really isolated. I think what I need to do is put the wide men on attacking. I think I've got them on balance just now. So you end up having a flat line of five, but nothing really happens attacking or defensively. So I think if I put them on inside forward as Shaq brings in his new puppy, hello puppy, that probably sounds really wrong. John will probably want to edit that out. But yeah, no, I think with the tweaks, you could probably make that 4-5-1 go into a 4-3-2-1 or a 4-3-3, and also make it defensively solid as well. So still lots of tweaking to do. It's definitely got the basis of a decent one. But again, I've not got a CM with holding plus or plus plus. I think Casemiro plays there and he's fine, but you can notice the difference from I was playing the 4-2-1-3 as well. And before my break, I had 4-2-3-1 wide, which I may still go back to as well. I'm just finding I can't find a formation that's super fun at the moment. That's my only issue.
Yeah.
Like there's very effective ones, and it's EA have done a good job at making different formations usable. But I can't say I've really found a super fun one because everyone like either is quite meh or you play a couple of games that you get absolutely shredded and then you throw your controller away.
I think the problem is you might understand where I'm coming from is the fact that I've tried a lot of formations. As you start tinkering with the formations, you start tinkering with this particular player is working well, but he's got a plus plus. That's a completely different thing. Let me just try that out, and then you try one, and then you see the other player. For example, you change your cam from playmaker to shadow striker because he's got a plus plus, and then suddenly you think, look at a CM and think he's got a deep lying playmaker or any of those things, and you start tweaking those things. Before you know it, within a couple of clicks, you're so far away from the formation you started with, and you just don't really know what is not working anymore, and it gets really complicated, and you just drop it and you start all over again. And that's what I've been finding, where I start with a formation, I think I like it, then I start tweaking a little bit, and then I get carried away with all the plus pluses. And yeah, it's I'm finding it a really hard juggle. So I've just decided that I like certain things to happen in the team, like
Mhm.
one inside forward from my midfielders. I think I like LMRM as opposed to left wing and right wing. I don't know why. I just find having those things as midfielders as opposed to wingers really works for me, because then I can actually control the play rather than just passing a through ball and hoping for the best. So yeah, I'm trying to stick to formations that have LMRM and also have an opportunity to use my right back or left back with wing back, so I can use them into the attack as well. Yeah, I'm trying my best to be as fun and creative as possible rather than just following a meta formation as such. But yeah, it's a bit of a grind.
It is hard. It is hard. But Shaq, we will leave it there because I think if there are two bits, we're approaching the hour mark, so we've gone a wee bit over. So I want to say thank you very, very much, Shaq, for joining us today. Anyone listening there, please be sure to check out our wonderful Discord. The Discord is free. If you'd like to contribute a cup of coffee to the team to try and help them, keep this podcast going, basically, with the equipment and the software that's required. It's Patreon /futinreview. Patreon.com/futinreview, I should say. If we've not really touched about the store, which has been a bit of a theme for us before, but if you'd prefer to go the coaching way rather than the store, check out Foot Coaching as well, because John does a tremendous job there with top of the range software, which isn't just used within video game, and he also has the software they use is used by actual football teams as well. So really, state of the art stuff used there. So quick thank you to everybody for listening. Like I say, I hope you all had a wonderful festive time. John and the crew should be back on Friday. I've not seen any leaks for what the next promo is, which is probably a good thing. But they'll obviously deep dive into whatever comes, and anything that comes in between now and Friday. Shaq, with that, there's just one thing left to do.
Drop it.
We are going to drop it.